Hello everybody and welcome back to another Flip That Zoo. This time we are going to be working on the Twilight Pack, and we're going to be adding a few animals here. We're just kind of looking around to see, get a lay of the land, because I've never liked the way these stairs are. I've actually rather hated them. They kind of sit at this weird diagonal. It's never made sense. So I'm putting these here. I'm not even sure I'm loving these either, but this is just a stopgap while I get rid of these staircases. So this is all planning for when we start doing our Twilight animals, habitats, etc. If you don't want to watch the layout or the planning, the pre-prep, then just go ahead and skip forward to the next section, which is actually laying out the habitats and getting everything set up. And then that is just like the laying out the outlines, the borders and everything else, and doing some basic rock work. If that's not your jam, you can, sit along for the ride as we start putting in raccoons, bats, and foxes. The foxes are going to go in the habitat that's already there, the one that was made for I think I put hyenas in it originally, and then we started putting just our leftover lions, basically just using it as a fill gap. And I didn't want to keep using it as a fill gap, so I'm like, what else can go with the Twilight Pack? And the reason I did that is you're gonna see I really want to start getting this area that I'm prepping is going to be pretty much, I'm going to say, a lot Twilight Pack, if not fully Twilight Pack. I'm not sure yet because it's all still in transition. Unfortunately, there's a lot of work that I did, so all the Twilight Pack is not going to, of course, be done in one episode. So it's probably going to be 2 or 3 episodes. And this is where we start getting into the habitat that we're building for the raccoons. I thought it would be kind of cool if they had like their own little raccoon cave. And I don't know, I thought it was neat. I thought it was a cool idea, so I went ahead and went with it. This is just me moving the boundaries around, getting all the groundwork laid out for getting our raccoons in here. And then right next to here is going to be where bats go. Now, see, I didn't know how the bats worked when I started making this, so I was a little hesitant on what to do. And then I went into sandbox mode with a different zoo and played around with the bats' habitat and realized they created this really big walkthrough exhibit. So it's not a habitat, it's an exhibit. I misunderstood. I thought it was a walkthrough habitat, but you had to, make sure it was fully enclosed. So my original idea was to make this cave for them. Once I realized that it's a walkthrough exhibit and it's not actually a cave, I realized it wasn't really going to work the way I wanted it to. So we had to improvise and change a few things up, move a few things around, and I actually really like where this took me. It changed my original plans and ideas. I still could have turned this cave into the bats. Because it's really neat how the exhibit works. You can make it look like invisible barriers. So I could have kind of found some workarounds and made it work, but I really wasn't interested in finagling it that much. I like the idea of having a walkthrough habitat. So I kept the habitat idea and I just turned it into raccoons instead. Anybody that's ever had to fiddle around with habitat doors, it can be a challenge. I did get it done. I just had to delete side walls, replace it, bring it out a little bit further, and Bob's your uncle. All set. No worries. Which is fine because we're doing a fully enclosed cave / rock work there anyway, so it didn't bother me that I had to move that out a little bit. Right now we're making it raccoon proof, so raccoons cannot escape through. It turns out there are a couple little holes by the door that I have to plug up later. I'm not even sure I recorded that part. But everything gets completely sealed in so that raccoons cannot escape. And this is just a little path for our employees, which is tucked away in the back. I find it very nice. I might actually end up sticking a couple staff buildings back there. Maybe a couple keeper buildings can go back there. Haven't decided that yet. Like I said, this is probably going to be at least 2 or 3 episodes. So this is not going to get a final polish. It's going to look really good. Like, I'm going to put a lot of foliage, rock work, and stuff into it, but it's just not going to be the polished final product. At the end of this video, it's going to be, I would say, 80% done as far as these habitats and exhibits that I'm creating right now. So raccoons are like 80% because this video got to be really, really long because I was focusing on 2 habitats in 1 exhibit. And if you guys have ever built in PlanetZoo, if you're one of my fellow builders, fellow zoo friends, you know that this takes a lot of time. I had to cut down almost 4 hours of recording and cram this into, I think we ended up with like 45, 47 minutes. Because, YouTube people don't like to watch super long videos, so, you have to kind of lower it down and speed some things up. To make it all fit in, because I try to make it consumable for you guys. I don't want you guys having to sit through 4 hours of me fiddling with the path or with rocks. If you ever want to see me build live, you can always come watch me stream, and I do build live on stream sometimes. So that's always a possibility if you're more interested in watching the exacts of how to do all of this stuff. And if you ever have questions or need tips or hints or anything, or are confused by something that I've done, or have questions on something I've done, or see something I've done and you have a suggestion to make it 10 times better, please, by all means, put it in the comments. I read every comment that I get. I respond to every comment that I get, as long as, they're respondable. If it's just like a hi, I might wave back or something. And this is me just smoothing everything out, polishing it a bit. There were some very jagged edges that made it look like it was just square dirt, so I wanted to make sure it didn't look like square dirt. And see how it looks just like a piece of square dirt placed there, so I was trying to smooth some of it out, make it more cave-like. This is a very interesting angle. And just basically make a little raccoon housing area. So there's little plug holes that I have to plug, and I did not look at the info guide for the raccoons before prepping this area. Otherwise, I would have changed a few things like right now versus later. You'll see me adding and changing things. But I mean, that's fine. Sometimes if you're just in go mode, you might even forget a couple of little details you need to have. So what I didn't know about raccoons is they require water, and they require a larger running around surface than I thought they did, because they're tiny little guys, so I didn't think they were going to require a big area, but they do. Something else I wasn't thinking of at the time. I was thinking of make this look good, let's use some of the new Twilight Pack stuff. But I wasn't thinking about how keepers were going to come in and clean the habitat. So you'll see me fix that later. This is me realizing that I really wanted stalactite and stalagmites, but I wanted to go ahead and create a copy-paste, basically, surface area. So I put a bunch of these together, and you'll see me just kind of duplicating them, spinning them, moving them, changing the heights, and then making this into a copyable segment that I can use throughout the cave, as well as in the bat cave that we're going to create too. Because the really cool thing about the bat exhibit that I wasn't sure I was going to like at first is that you can decorate inside the walkthrough exhibit. I thought it was going to be just a basic exhibit like all the other exhibits we have, where everything's already created for you and everybody's exhibit looks the same. Well, that's not true. You can choose the null barrier basically option, where everything's invisible or see-through in the exhibit itself, and you can put your own touches on it. So we do get some rock work, and we're going to get some foliage in there too. I did not get a chance to polish off the bats, so you'll see me start it but not finish it. that's just how this first episode is going to go. It's going to be a lot of starting ideas and some basic polishing, but not like finite polishing. I ended up loving the way these worked. When I used to live in California, I went through a cave that was very much like this, and it was beautiful. Like there was an indoor like lake basically, or maybe it was just like more of a stream. I mean, I was a kid, so eyes of a child. It might have been more of a pond or a stream, but to me it looked like a lake, and all of these stalactites and stalagmites were in there, and there was like dripping water, and there were bats in there, and it was really, really fun and really, really kind of creepy, but I loved it. I've always kind of enjoyed the strange and unusual, so it totally fit me as a kid. And then I wanted to make sure that guests could walk through here safely, so I grabbed one of my employees and tested the heights, raised a few things up that needed to be raised up just to make sure they wouldn't whack their heads on them, and then moved them to a different area to check that area as well. And changed a little bit of height variation on a couple of them that were a little iffy, but I highly recommend using these if you haven't yet inside of your caves. It really, really brings it to life, in my opinion. If you've never been to a cave like that, look up some pictures online. They're really, really cool looking. There's even prettier ones online that I was like, wow, I need to go there. So I was trying to just make a unique space, a fun space that people could walk through and experience kind of the raccoons as well as the red foxes all at the same time. And what I mean by that is like right behind where I'm facing right now, there's that window that looks out into the habitat that's there, and that habitat is where I'm sticking the red foxes. So it's going to be really cool, and I'm creating a full huge den of foxes. So it's going to be, I think it's 13 is the max you can have in a den, and that's what I plan on having in there. I might get like 9 or 10 just to have the adults and then a couple babies. But yes, 100%. And then I thought this looks kind of just like rock. So let's put a water feature here. I am not amazing at water features. I'm still learning how to perfect them and make them look as good as some people just make them, and they look amazing. I think mine look decent. I don't think they look half bad, especially for someone who's not great at them yet. And yes, I put a water feature here that falls into a little water cove on that second shelf there, and then that one's gonna fall into the lake, the little pond on the bottom. So it's kind of a neat little water feature in my opinion. I think it's kind of, I think it ties it all together. It makes it feel less rock dirt. And as I get more into the Twilight Pack materials that came into it, like some of the foliage work, some of the tree work, some of the flowers that are in it are absolutely beautiful. And I find that I used almost primarily Twilight Pack stuff on the trail leading into this area, as well as the decorations around it. I really, really love the twisted tree trunk, like vine vibes that we get from them. They're beautiful, but kind of have that creepy-esque vibe, like that, ooh, like spooky-esque, like, and I love it. Like it is my favorite. It is amazing. Yeah, so I made a cardinal mistake here. When you're doing waterfalls, zoom in and then do a lateral, because otherwise you're going to be looking at it from above thinking, oh, I've got this great, everything's lined up perfectly, and then you zoom in and you're like, oh, never mind. That's what happened to me, and that's how it works sometimes. Sometimes you just get in the zone and you're just chugging along and you forget that viewpoints are important. So yeah, I didn't cut it out. I could have edited that out. I could have edited it out to where it was complete or done or whatever. I chose not to. I chose to show you guys that, not everything is done perfect the first time around. I'm not even sure or convinced that I'm 100% done with this waterfall. I feel like I need to put some rocks up there, maybe some vines. Not sure yet. It's gonna get better. I might even just line that entire second story lake pond thing with rocks. I love this misty steam. I think it really ties it together and makes it, it's going to tie the haunty, vibey thing going on really well. I forgot to move these during cleanup, so I'm moving those now. And for some reason, I was really hell-bent on keeping these paths just as they were. I'm not sure why. You'll see how I change those later on. This is the bat habitat. I'm sorry, exhibit. Blah. This is the bat exhibit. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, this is how big it is. This is what it looks like. I know it's a big box, but you don't have to keep it as a big box. Like I said, you can build your own walls, roof, everything to it, and you can make it 100% see-through. Like, I'm just kind of playing around with it here for a minute, and you guys will see what I mean. And this is how I get my idea for what I'm going to do with it next. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I can actually build my own cave. So that is where I go with this. I 100% build my own cave here. I love it. I think it's really cool. It's going to go a little more zoomy than usual because who wants to see me placing sand for the next, 15-30 minutes? Anyway. And once again, using the copy paste feature from the stalactites and stalagmites, where I can actually just basically place them from the top of this cave, and it will eventually be see-through once I'm done, which makes it look really cool. So if you guys have been nervous or anxious about trying out this bat exhibit, it's actually so much cooler than I thought it was. When I first got the pack, I will be honest, I was a little disappointed in the way it looked. Then I was like, oh, so we got a big box to stick our bats in? Okay. And then I played around with it and discovered, of course they didn't do that to us. They gave us something much cooler than that. And yeah, you just have to be willing to play around with it and use your imagination when it comes to giving them their own little space. So it's kind of like creating a habitat, but they made it where they're confined to a certain location, so it takes the guesswork out of it for you, and all those escape points and everything else, which kind of gets me excited because we all know, I've said it in several videos now, the animals I want in the zoo are wild birds. When I say wild birds, I mean like cockatoos, parrots, stuff like that. I see them in zoos. I see them in lots of zoos. And I think bird aviaries are probably some of my favorite things to walk through. So we've already got the walkthrough part of this down. And I feel like now we can literally just add birds. We can add these birds that I've been dying for, and it can be macaws, cockatoos, cockatiels, parrots, and then we can go into many variations of the birds, including a lot of the ones that are endangered right now, fitting in with the theme of a lot of animals from PlanetZoo are conservation animals, especially if people have conservation zoos going on. It would really fit that motif. And I would be a happy camper because we finally have birds. Also, we've noticed that education workers are different now. They can actually pull animals out of out to talk with the crowd about. So I think birds would be perfect because who doesn't want to pull out, a blue macaw and talk to the audience about their habitat, their species, and stuff like that. I think that's super exciting, especially with a lot of our endangered birds. I think it'd be really great to have those educational talks and to show them to people. Also, when I was a kid, we used to have like shows with these animals where they would like fly down the seat of like bleachers and fly to the person holding the glove. Now, granted, I doubt we're going to go that far with it, but it really gives those vibes. Like, I feel like if we were creative enough, we could create that feel or that look with these things, and I think I think we've really reached this next pinnacle of animals that we can expect in our zoos. So I really, really, really have my hopes up right now. I'm hoping PlanetZoo doesn't let me down because I want birds. Anyway, so back into what we're doing now. See, these are the creepy, twisty branches, like the dead branches, the viney looking things that look amazing in these habitats and entrances of these caves. I was thrilled with them. I use them to frame pretty much every entrance there is. There's also some cute little raccoon statues. I do wish we had more than one that came with the pack. We only got one. I would have been happy if we could have had at least two so we could have a little variation there. So I just changed the height of them just a little bit to give it a slight variation, at least as much as I was able to according to game parameters. And this is me realizing there's a new paint, like a new pathing coloration, like a spooky coloration that comes with the pack, which is like this stone. And I thought it was really pretty and really fit in with the branches and the rock work that we have going on. So I started changing that and finishing off the cave work and the rock work around the edges of these habitats. And we're going for a very similar vibe on this side. It does get to be a little more filled out, and I really wanted this water feature to also be like a central idea for when people are coming through that side of the exhibit. So yeah, you guys are going to see me using these a lot. I think they're just such a cool feature. I wish we had gotten more of them, to be honest with you. I mean, I appreciate what we got, but wow, I would have loved like a slew of these suckers. I honestly could use so many. These trees are awesome. It was three sizes of the same tree. They're really flush, but they're also kind of they fill in the spaces nicely, and they also have like some of the low-hanging dead branches, so they fit really well with this spooky vibe. And I took these mushrooms and I was trying to layer them on this tree to kind of give it this new look. And by the way, I did not know, because nighttime hadn't hit yet and we're playing franchise, so I can't just change it from night to day, day to night. I did not know that these mushrooms actually glow in the dark. It's really, really cool. If you haven't seen that yet, definitely get your nighttime vibe on and take a look at it. I think we get to see it here shortly. These tumbleweed looking plants I thought fit in really, really well with this spoopy vibe we had going. They aren't part of the pack, but they fit really well in my opinion. And that's that side. And I came back to this side because I realized we still needed to wrap this side up with the rock work. I cannot wait until we finish this part so you guys can see what it looks like on the inside. I'm trying to be very mindful of what it's going to look like on the inside. Now I haven't put the animals in yet, and I haven't actually played with this exhibit yet at this point. So while I was building, I was a little nervous that it wasn't going to look like this when I was done, but I was hopeful it would, because it made sense. Like logically, that's what I thought it was, especially if you watched their stream they did about this pack. I didn't get to watch the entire thing, so I was a little unsure, but I watched a lot of it and I was relatively certain that I heard them correctly. I also didn't like the metal frames on this. You do have the option of not having those plastic sheet covers over the doorways, but I thought about it. I even looked at it without it, and I thought it made it look too unrealistic. I want it to be very cave-like and have that feel of naturalism, but I also at the same time don't think it's realistic to not have those and expect the bats to stay in there. So I ended up leaving them in place the entire time. Currently the walls are there. They're not going to stay, don't worry. The reason I have them there is so I know where the edges of the exhibit are. I did originally try to build without the walls up and discovered that was a horrible idea, because I couldn't figure out where the edges of everything was, and it made it easier to build with it in place. So I recommend, at least this is how I did it, I recommend building with the box in place and filling in whatever foliage, rock work, etc. that you're going to put inside of there to decorate the exhibit. And then after you put your animals in, clicking on the exhibit and changing the layout of it to use your build as the internal side of it. And this is where I realized, why am I keeping this stuff here? This doesn't fit in with the Twilight Pack. This isn't what I wanted. So I end up moving these last store stalls as well, because they don't really fit right here. That exhibit right there, I'm sorry, I said exhibit. That habitat right there with the brick wall, I am probably not going to keep. So I realize I'm kind of lining it with the pathing right now, but that pathing is not going to be set in stone. It might change, it might morph over time as I fill this section in, and I'm probably going to delete that habitat as well. So I might even do it off screen. You guys might never see me delete it, but it's not staying. It's like a big box. It's a round box basically. It's not pretty. It's just a whole bunch of brick, and I don't think it matches the vibe we're going for. So I wrapped this part up and tried to figure out what I wanted to look like when they first arrived, if they were coming from this direction. And of course I had to go back to our twisty wood again, because it fits the vibe. It really gives that sensation that you're going through this great walk-in exhibit. It makes you feel like you're seeing something different, because the entire rest of the zoo so far has been very African-esque, very desert, very brown. It hasn't been super flush and floral like I'm making this one. So I really wanted it to be completely different, because I wanted it to highlight and frame the Twilight Pack, because I wanted it to be basically like they're walking into a different area of the zoo. Maybe it's a fun place for the kids to go, because who doesn't want to hang out with bats, because they're so cute, the little fruit bats. But at the same time, I feel like throughout the year maybe they could have a Halloween event or something, and this would be where the event would take place. Like it's a centerpiece, because in America, several of our theme parks and zoos and such actually do have a special, usually it's the month of October is when they decorate their location specifically for, Halloween and the spooky and stuff like that. We could even do like a fall theme. I tried the fall leaves in this and I didn't like them. I just didn't think they fit well with the vibe I was giving. So I did not use those. Although they are really pretty, I just didn't feel the vibe. So what I did here, and this is something I recommend if you're putting lights in, especially if sometimes things in PlanetZoo, actually quite often in PlanetZoo, things are ginormous. These lights are just absolutely huge. So I put them up against one of the workers just to see average height of a male in the zoo, of a male human in the zoo, and what the light looked like next to him. And then I determined how far I wanted to sink the light in to make it look like the fire was kind of eye level, or at least head level, to most of the people. I mean, maybe probably not the kids, but at least most of the adults. We probably want it to be a little tall for the kids anyway, which actually really worked out, because at the bottom of those lights were little giraffe imprints. So I feel like sinking them in really behooved us anyway. I mentioned a second ago that I didn't use the leaves, but I haven't used them yet. There is that entire area. I think I'm gonna make a plaza, maybe like a Twilight Plaza. I'm not sure yet. I'm still tossing around ideas, thoughts, what I want to do. But there's still potential in areas where I could use the leaves. I just haven't committed to them yet. So I've been tossing around the idea of having like natural pathing for the plaza, and then just tossing leaves all over the place. Not sure. What do you guys think? If you like the idea, let me know in the comments. If you have your own idea, let me know in the comments. We do still have other animals that need to go in this build that we haven't gotten to yet. There's the wombat, and I think the wombat's the one I'm looking forward to the most after, beyond the red fox, the raccoon, and the bats. I think the wombat's the one I'm looking forward to the most. I'm probably gonna put the wombats and the skunks in this in a. I think they can vibe together. I'm pretty sure they can, or maybe it's beavers I'm thinking of. I don't know. I've got to think of what we're gonna build next, and I want it to go along with this whole Twilight vibe we have going on. I think what I'm going to do is I might block off this area, maybe a tall wall or maybe just a whole bunch of trees, to just kind of block off this area to where you have to go through the pathing to get through the Twilight area, or to see what the magic of it is. Like, you can't see it from far away. You have to enter it to know what's behind the doors, or what's behind the lush trees, or, you know, the spooky arches, which I think I'm going to put there. This is me trying to clear pathing for staff to be able to get through, because I realized it was a little too thin. I'm trying to think of heights of the staff members that would have to walk through here. After we got the raccoons in, like I mentioned earlier, I did realize we needed water. I like to have natural water in most of the habitats anyway, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to put water in here, no worries. But I didn't realize how much water they needed until I got the raccoons in here. I adjusted that, and yeah, then I grabbed the raccoons and noticed, oh my gosh, they need a lot more water than I thought, and a lot more space than I thought. So that's easy to do. Just you know, clear out some more of these walls, because it's a big cavern. Like, there's a lot of space down here we can maneuver and give to the raccoons. And I gave them a big chunk of water down here. And then I also realized they need climbing spaces. I did not know they needed climbing. I mean, now I've seen lots of videos and, you know, TikToks and YouTube clips of raccoons, you know, climbing into dumpsters or up trees, which I guess I should have, like, clued in right there and then. They enjoy climbing. You need a climbing structure, which I'm really happy it's in this pack, because I don't know about you guys, but watching these animals do their climbing and walking across these thin rails is like some of the cutest, funnest stuff you see. Especially when they, like, balance across something where, like, a guest is walking. You can imagine that you get to look up and see them above you. I think it's just adorable, as well as educational and kind of fun, very whimsical. I love these little bridges that they included in the packs. I don't remember what pack that came with. Yeah, I don't remember what. If I can remember to do it, I will mention it in the description. But if not, I will try to figure out what pack that came in and let you guys know at some point. But they're really, really cute. I think they actually might just be base game at this point. They might have just added it to building base game materials. I'm not 100% positive on that. I'll have to look. But yeah, really, really cute. It might have came out during a time when a pack came out. So anyway, I think it was the South America pack as roughly when that came out, because of the jaguars. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I don't know. Memories of certain things. Anyway, so I'm just trying to give them really cool little platforms where they can climb and investigate and look into new things, and look down at the humans that were coming into their habitat to see them. I feel like they're going to be doing, like, examining each other. The humans are going to be examining the raccoons. The raccoons are going to be examining the humans. So I decided to do, like, a climbing platform, rope, stick across this entire area, because I figured if the humans could go there, then the raccoons should be able to go there. And I thought it gave them good opportunity to be able to kind of just cruise around without having to go on the ground if they don't want to. yeah, so this is the climbing structure that I built, and you just kind of slide them around, use the X key to use that feature, the really cool spin and drop feature. It's the advanced tool for, I think, Axis advanced tool. Anyway, it is your best friend once you learn how to use it. So if you're not using it, it really is a useful tool. And then I realized while I was doing this, there is a little spot over here that they could climb onto and perch and sit. It's part of the cave. And I was like, oh, cool. I will make sure they can walk over to it without having to jump or anything. I even gave them a little basking platform. So if they wanted to bask on the platform instead of on the rock, they could. I gave them a little post to climb there and hang on to if they want to. And they look really happy. Now this next part, I am fast forwarding really fast through it because I realized they like a lot of grass. It's really the short grass. So I was trying to give the illusion of like it's moss and not grass. So I am literally sticking it everywhere, up the walls, on the floor, like everywhere I am coating with the green short grass, hoping it kind of gives that moss vibe. I think because it's kind of dark in here, I really feel like I've kind of pulled it off. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think I pulled it off? I'm hoping so. I get that vibe like I pulled it off. At one point, I do kind of just stop doing it because I'm like, okay, I have coated enough moss everywhere. You know, you can't coat the entire thing, and I don't think I'm going to reach 100% with all their needs. I got close. I got really close. And then I was like, oh, I can go ahead and put the foxes in since people are walking through and looking through that window. I should go ahead and grab foxes to put in. But yeah, so I don't specifically go through and match their habitat or any of the foxes' needs yet. We will do that in our next video. But I felt like we got a lot done today. The Twilight Pack is... It's small and quaint, but it's a lot of fun to use, a lot of fun to play with, and the animals are absolutely adorable. I'm really happy that I got to put them in this zoo series. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have the Twilight Pack, and here we go. Some little screenshots. Bye guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. I hope you guys liked it. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for coming. Ring that bell. All those really cool YouTube things. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.